Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jay Michaels, and I'm in a room full of people, a cast of thousands, if you will. We're talking about the Boston Sci-Fi Film Festival, now in its 50th year, one of the top 10 genre festivals in the world. And this year there are Emmy winners in it and an Academy Award nominee. With me today, I have a whole bunch of people. We're going to start with Gabe, who's going to tell us about his film. Gabriel, I look forward to hearing from you. Tell me about your film.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. My film is called Claudia, and it's about a cyber predator who becomes the hunted when he preys on the wrong woman.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is the turnabout is fair play sort of thing. Um, wow. What made you think of it? It's a familiar trope, if you will, about the almost the revenge thought, but to have it cyber, that's interesting. Tell me your thought process behind it.
Yeah, it was inspired by a friend of mine who was trying to contact her bank after there was some shifty stuff going on with it. And she actually spoke to a representative. And about 7 minutes into the call, the representative said, "What are you wearing?" And it turned out to not be that. It was a hack. And that mixed with, um, I unfortunately know many women who have fallen victim to cyber predator, cyber crime. And that mixed with my fear of AI and where things can go with everything is what made me make this film.
Wow. Wow. Oh, it blew my mind when you said that. You know, she puts her trust thinking it's the bank, and wow. And you know, you gotta laugh. The bank representative is not going to say, "What are you wearing?" And like, what's she going to say? "Oh, well, now that you mentioned it, come on." Oh,
Exactly.
wow.
Exactly.
Uh, now, I'm grabbing something you had said. Your fear of AI. I hear how wonderful AI is and all of this, yet there is a lot of people saying beware. Why are you afraid of AI?
I'm mostly afraid of AI because I think its capabilities of destruction are in direct proportion to the darkest part of humanity. It's only a mirror of what we've created, and I try to infuse that of what price are we willing to pay for revenge or anything for that matter when it comes to AI, when it comes to our own humanity and our own souls.
Now, so you have the familiar if it falls into enemy hands sort of behavior, which is
If it
great.
falls into enemy hands, if it becomes sentient itself,
But,
um, yeah.
but you also make a mention you say about souls. Uh, uh, Tell me your interpretation of that, because yes, I've heard that before. I've heard people say, this is something that doesn't have a soul. What's your interpretation of that word and AI in conjunction to it?
Um, I think, I don't know, that I think the soul, whatever that means to anyone, is the closest link to true humanity, which I think is love and compassion. And when we create from darker parts of ourselves or do anything in life, that is at the lack of the soul. And if you're creating something for pure gain or malice, I think that's partially the reason. And I don't know, maybe AI will have its own one day capability to manifest itself in some sort of cyber soul. I don't know. All of this scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, you're fascinating me with this. Wow, I didn't imagine it would go to this level. Wow. Okay, you said a four-letter word. You said love. So let's look at that for a second. Um, let's say a benevolent soul, pardon the pun, creates a form of AI. Could AI love? Do you think that could be created?
I don't know, but I believe it can. I believe it can. There's already research being done with utilizing AI to translate what dolphins are saying. And even that statement alone, if you feel what it feels like, at least what it feels like in me, yeah, that kind of feels like love. If it's towards the betterment of all humanity, why not? Why can't that be love?
Wow. All of this in one little film. This is wow. It sounds like it's an intimate cast. It sounds like it's is it intimate on that level?
It is. If there's 4 cast members who are all amazing actors, and Scott McCord, who's on the series from, he's absolutely brilliant. Niall Ortiz, Kathleen Simmons, and Abigail Hosford. So they're all in it, and I'm just so grateful to have such a brilliant cast.
You are tapping into something so deep right now. You're hitting the ultimate hot button topic in terms of how I is AI, and how deep can it go, and if AI has a soul. We've seen this. We've seen this in pieces such as I, Robot, and so many others, where suddenly and even in 2001, I can't let you do that, Dave. We see the robot come to life, and you're taking it to another level entirely. This is really intense. When does this happen? When does your film happen?
So we will be screening on Sunday the 16th at 2:30 p.m. in the short film block.
Sunday the 16th at 2:30. Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want your mind blown, if you want an experience, if you want to really see the future head on, then go to bostonsci-fi.com and find out about this film and so many others in the festival. Wow. Gabriel, thank you. You've given me a lot to think about.
Thank you, Jay. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure indeed. Okay, so now talk about a lot to think about. How many people do I have here on my screen? And like are you all in the same movie?
I'm gonna free it up, Jay. Take care. Thank you so much for this.
Oh, thank you.
Bye.
Okay, are you all, Catarina, I think you're the boss.
Yes.
Are you all are you all in Catarina's film?
Yes. Yeah.
Goodness. It's so funny. Normally it's 1 or 2 people, but this time it's like ding, 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 ding. And I thought, did I overbook? Wait a minute, what's going on? And then all of you, oh, I'm in her film. I'm in her film. I'm with her. I'm with her. Oh, okay, Catarina. What the hell is your film about? Why are all these people here?
Well, I invited the crew because I put it good. It's me and the crew. The actors were here, but they had to go to a rehearsal. So Sofia Villar and Nazari Koval, they apologize. But they wish us all good luck. So After Link is about a couple split between parallel dimensions in the middle of Portugal, in the mountains, after they find a ghost or a virus or an error inside a software that they built, and this takes place in the early 2000s. So it's very generation 90s and so on.
Which is a period piece, which really makes me feel old, but that's another story. Okay, so it's multidimensional. Okay, that's interesting. Multidimensional like other times, multidimensional or other locations. What is the dimension?
They are in the same place and the same time. However, they cannot see each other. So they see each other. Can I spoil the film or the ending or not? But they are the same place at the same time.
Oh,
no
wow.
spoilers. Okay.
And so we're looking at 2 scenarios. Oh,
You
interesting.
need to watch it to understand it.
You're
works.
tapping into what Marvel has given us in so many ways. You're tapping into the multiverse. You're tapping into the question that has been asked for eons. What if? And so we see this culture. That's really amazing. What made you think of this?
Well, more than that, let me just add to this, is that when they see a ghost, which David believes that is a virus, like an error, and Marta, who interpreted by Sophia, who was here, and Marta believes it's a ghost of an actual person. It frees the question if souls can be trapped inside, or technology inside computers, inside of the web. If artificial intelligence, which is talked right now, if can have, you know, if it's echoes of multiple people, therefore multiple souls, you know, in one. If it can not just has have a conscious, but be multiple people. Actually, Matthew could speak a little bit more about that because he's also a programmer. And sorry to put you under the spotlight, Matthew. But he can speak even more about that, like technologically. But yeah, that idea came from the speculation that this could be possible. And also, I had the inspiration for this when actually a friend of mine got lost in the mountains for real. He was found, he's fine, he's fine. But in Serra da Estrela in the north of Portugal, he just got lost in my first year of university. And he really thought that he had jumped through a parallel dimension. So something about mountains that we find there's a lot of mysticism about to be discovered.
Well, there's a whole atmospheric thing in terms of mountains. So yeah, I could definitely see
Yeah,
that.
if you die, like, is it completely game over, or could you just actually being pulled towards a parallel dimension? We also want to show that Portuguese films, by the way, that we are representing Portugal as the only short film selected. We want to show that Portugal films are not just slow pace, the typical, because I worked in film festivals before, in the Newcastle Film Festival, and I just remember someone telling me like, oh, I'm so glad that I don't have a Portuguese film here because it will be too long to watch, too long to download and to make into a DCP. And that's the idea that the world has, unfortunately. They say it has a joke that Portuguese cinema is really slow pace and very poetic and so we want to show that, you know, you can have other types of cinema as well.
Of course you can. Of course you can. Oh my goodness, please. You hit the nail on the head when you said stereotype. Now, I saw a finger go up over in Diego's court, like he wanted to say something. Diego, did you have a comment that you wanted to bring up?
Well, if Catarina allows me to speak, first of all, well, one of the key points of the short film is the Rocco's basilisk theory. Do you know about it? Or I don't know if anyone is familiarized with that. It was a paradox that was proposed in a philosophy blog back in the early 2000s, where they one user elaborated a theory about what if AA takes conscious of itself. It must be, if it's a living thing, it has to fulfill the purposes of a living thing, which are growing, feeding, and reproducing. It will try to reproduce itself. So it would run infinite simulations of our timeline until we kind of invented inside of those simulations. So inside of those simulations, the AI is God. It's omniscient, it's omnipotent. So anyone that goes against the will of fulfilling the invention of this basilisk, it will be like eliminated of the timeline. Like it will have the life that it will guide them to the fulfilling of this artificial intelligence. I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
It's sort of like the creation of God, if you will.
Yeah, I don't know if someone here
was, you know, we're not
besides
creating, but we're creating God to create us. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone apart from Catarina here have seen the series Pantheon, the animated series. It's a really interesting work about this topic too. It's very related. And
it's a good reference. It's a good reference. Yes, another good reference from connected to our film is for people who really like experimental serial experimental lane, because it's also into that vibe of experimental lane and of course Twilight Zone. So people who would like those shows would also like Afterlink. I think like Afterlink. So yeah, so that is Afterlink. Afterlink is the software who could also be a ghost or a portal to another dimension, but it's also inside the computer. So our film has like two aspect ratios, one inside of computer and another the cinematography, where they get lost.
I was saying to Gabriel about his film, the notion of soul, and we see it's manifesting in yours as well. Matthew, you were put in the hot seat before by Catarina. What did you want to add to this?
Well, the first thing, if you can hear me, sorry, as my microphone's not particularly fantastic. What Diego said about the basically the basilisk theory is very much a more modern version of the theory of Gnosticism, which I always thought was very interesting for Catarina's film to be exploring, about the whole fact that that God is actually a demiurge and there's basically a higher being beyond, and it's basically like a prison to escape. Has always been quite an interesting one from a metaphysical perspective. But the other thing that was quite interesting is that these days how AIs are built, anybody that knows how the technology works, is that they take huge data sets of lots of, basically words, sentences, etc., taken from the internet. And when you ask it or prompt it, it comes up with an answer based on that trillions and trillions and trillions of basically tokens and entries. Now, I always thought that was quite interesting as well from a somewhat like theoretical metaphysical perspective, that these AIs in many ways have learnt from people. They've actually almost in many ways they're copies of like all of our information, so that if you could and believed in a soul, that it could take in almost fragments of souls, because these AIs aren't actually things that are creatures necessarily. They're not like me and you, they're organic in that way. But the fact that they've been trained on these huge data sets, one could think them as being the modern equivalent of actual ghosts because of all the information they've hoovered up. That to me, I always thought was quite interesting. So when Catarina showed me about it being like basically also a ghost story on top of that, it felt very forward-looking to me in some ways. And I thought that was very interesting, like a concept to explore.
You bring up an interesting point. Don't we naturally do that anyway? We go to school, we learn, we fill our brains with trillions and trillions of bits of information, and then we access it as we need it. So with AI is us.
It does pose a very interesting question. I mean, because we haven't really cracked the key behind consciousness, what actually links those together for us is a bit of a mystery. But I actually do think, especially when you're doing sci-fi and sci-fi horror, that kind of like uncanny valley between those things is extremely like fun to play with. So I really enjoyed that Catarina was using that as like a plot point in her work.
I've always said that sci-fi and horror really are clairvoyant. It accesses things that we're afraid to think of in reality, and so we put it in our imaginations. And ironically, then they become real.
Yeah.
If you turned to someone in 1930 and said, "Here, make a phone call," they'd look at you like you were insane. So
yeah, they really would have done that.
Pretty intense on that level. Irene, you've joined us. What are you doing on the film? What do you think of all of this?
I was the production coordinator on the film, so I deal with a lot of the behind the scenes things to make it happen, working with the producer and everybody on the team, basically. Yeah, dealing with the non-creative part of filmmaking, which I love, by the way. Yeah.
Well, then, on behalf of your entire company, I say thank you to you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you don't glue it together, it don't stick. So
yeah, that's true. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words.
My pleasure. Gastão? Is it pronounced Gastão? Gastão?
Gastão.
Gastão travado.
Oh,
okay.
I was right the first time. What are you doing on this film? Why are you here? What are you doing?
Okay, my job is to bring life to visuals and ideas of Catarina. I'm the producer designer and help with the other art directors to bring life the visuals of the movie. Okay.
Okay, then I'm asking you all this question in honor of Gastão. When we turn to AI, when we say, okay, AI, create for me this picture. I have this little thing on my computer and I can do all these cool things with my avatar on Facebook, thanks to AI.
Yes, this is
AI create for me this thing. But now in the movie, you're saying, you turn to Gustavo and you say, okay, Gustavo, create for me. And he does it.
Yes, and actually, the interesting or one of aspect to me that is very rewarding, that before I actually use AI to create visuals and to create stories. So the approach that we are making a movie talking about AI and talking about the soul, the things that are so human, but actually we use AI to create, for instance, concepts for the movie. Catarina also want to put pictures of Martha and David on another place, and I use AI to create small props, like the photos we see in the caravan actually were created by AI. So it is more or less like a full circle. We're talking about AI. Catarina want to express this in this story, and for producing the movie, we actually use AI for making props in the set, in the caravan.
So Catarina says to her AI, Gustavo, please create this. And you turn to your AI and say, please create this.
We also use a 3D printer to do some props, and that was our props master Ilka from Hungary. So we, by the way, our crew is like all around the world. We from 7 different countries in Europe.
That, yes, by the accents I'm hearing, I'm thinking, okay, thank goodness for Zoom.
Yeah.
It was an experience. So it's my first film for outside of the academy, you know, outside of university. So let's say it's my first serious film, and we had no monetary support from the government. We were completely rejected by every single institution for that we claimed for 2 years, and we still got together. All people like travel to Portugal to Algarve to make this film possible. So it was a huge experience, and I'm really grateful for all of you that are here and then the ones who couldn't come to the meeting.
Then I applaud you all, because from that remark alone, I know that you are the epitome of the independent filmmaker. You have an amazing idea. Your soul has created this amazing idea, and all of these souls have come together to make it a reality. You're not waiting for anyone. You're not sitting around. You're not hoping for the future. You are making the future. Bravo, bravo. When does this go up?
So it's on Sunday, 16 at 2:30 p.m. It's right before the President's Day, if I'm not mistaken, right? You have it's a long weekend. So it's on Sunday, 16 February at 2:30 p.m. at Somerville Theatre. Please come for half a decade, 50 years of Boston Sci-Fi Film Festival, the first and the oldest genre film festival, United States of America, Boston, Massachusetts. This is so difficult to say. Massachusetts.
It sounds better when she says it than when I say it. So there you go. I wish you all the best with this. Congratulations on doing it, on stepping into another world, if you will, by creating this and bringing the world together to make this movie. Bravo to you all. I wish you all the best. Ladies and gentlemen, it's President's Day. It's President's Day weekend. So you have off on Monday. Spend Sunday in the theater then. Spend it in the movie theater and see some amazing flights of imagination. Go to bostonsci-fi.com to find out about this and scores of other films, about panels, about guest speakers, about parties, about gifties. You're going to have a great time, just as they had for 50 years. Thank you.
We will be there giving a Q&A. Sorry. We will be there as well.
I'll be there in spirit.
Filmmakers, look at that. Thanks, folks. Thank you so much. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.